Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making Kookoo Sabzi. Kookoo Sabzi is a Persian herb frittata. A frittata made with fresh herbs, parsley, cilantro, green onions, and dill, eggs, and the special ingredient in this dish is barberries, also known as radishes. They're sweet and tart at the same time, and they add a burst of flavor. This dish is naturally low in carbohydrates. It's packed with protein and fiber. You can eat this warm or cold. I love to put it in a sandwich, or you can eat it on its own. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take care of all these herbs and get them washed up. I'm gonna start with the cilantro, and I'm gonna take all the leaves off of there, and I'm just gonna pick it right here. Sometimes some of the tender stems come off, and that's okay to leave on. The tough stems, though, you wanna make sure comes off. Okay, just like that. And then I'm gonna wash them up. Put your parsley and cilantro in a large bowl of cold water. Let it sit for a little bit after you've swished it around with your hands to allow the dirt to settle to the bottom. Herbs can be really dirty, so you want to make sure that you get as much dirt out as possible. So if you notice a large amount of residue at the bottom, go ahead and give it another wash. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the parsley and cilantro out, put it in my salad spinner here so I can get it really dry. You want to get as much of the moisture out of the herbs as possible. So after the salad spinner, I just put it on a towel here, spread out the leaves a little bit so that it can air dry. Now I'm going to take these green onions, and I'm only going to use the green parts, so I'm going to chop those off right now. Cut off right about here. Here I'm just washing the green onions, just getting any little dirt particles that might come in between the leaves. Once we have all of our herbs, our parsley, our cilantro, and our green onions nicely washed, now we're going to start chopping. So working in batches, just take a handful of parsley and cilantro, a couple of green onions, gather a nice little pile, and then just start chopping. You want to make sure that your herbs are very finely chopped. So you just keep working it around. By the time you're done, you should have a very cohesive mixture. So you can't really tell what's parsley, what's cilantro, and what's green onions. It's important to chop your herbs with a knife versus using a food processor. Food processors have a tendency to make the herbs a little watery, and it macerates it too much. If you use a knife, you get a nice even cut. When you're about here, this is about the texture that you want. So I'm just going to put this into my bowl and continue with another handful. Now that our fresh herbs are nicely chopped, now I'm going to add the dill. I like to use dried dill, but you can use fresh dill if you want to. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons. I have about 2 tablespoons of barberries here and a colander. I'm just going to drop it in the water. This way, any residue that might be on the berries just kind of falls to the bottom. So here I have about 2 tablespoons of barberries. I have 2 pretty large cloves of garlic, finely minced. Here I have some salt, and I'm going to put about a half of a teaspoon in there, maybe a little bit more. Some freshly ground pepper, probably about a quarter to a half a teaspoon. And then I'm going to add a little bit of flour, probably about a tablespoon. This kind of just keeps everything together. And it will dry out any moisture that might have been left in the herbs. So now I'm just going to crack some eggs in a bowl and mix them up. I'm going to start with 4 eggs. Sometimes the bunches of herbs, they can run a little bit different sometimes in their size. So start with a little less eggs than you need, and then if it looks like it needs another egg, you can add another egg. So here I'm just mixing the egg mixture with the herbs. What I'm looking for is a texture that is kind of like a pancake batter. It's not too dry, but you definitely don't want it really liquidy either. This texture that I have here probably needs at least 1 more, if not 2 more eggs. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack those eggs into a bowl and whisk them up and add them in. So this is perfect. This is the texture that you want. It's thick and not runny. but you can see how it's loosened up a little bit. So I added two more eggs. So the oil is nice and hot. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit and then dump my mixture into the hot oil. Now I'm just gonna spread it out so it's evenly in the pan. And you can see it's starting to fry here on the edges. I'm just gonna turn it down just a little bit. We don't want it to burn. We want it to nicely brown. So put it to about medium. Then we're gonna put the lid on and then put it down to about a medium low. Let that sit and simmer for about 15-20 minutes. So I'm gonna look and see how we're doing. So when the center is set and the edges begin to darken, now it's time to flip because we want to get this side nice and brown too. So in order to do that, we just cut it in 4 equal pieces, just like you're cutting a pizza. I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit so when I flip it, I still have that nice crust on the bottom. So this is sticking just a little bit. I probably could have put a little bit more oil in the pan, or maybe even let the oil get a little bit hotter before I put it in. But it's still gonna be delicious. So now we're just gonna let the other side brown for about 10 minutes. Okay, let's flip it. Oh, that's perfect. This is a traditional Persian recipe, and I would not have learned this without the master of the kitchen, my mother-in-law. So thank you for teaching me, and enjoy. For more information on recipes and low-carb cooking, visit my website, dietitianfordiabetes.com. You can you cut and edit? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Barberries. Barberries.
So,
Stop looking at me like that.
so what's neat about them?
Oh yeah.
How is it? It's good?